session from dobetterux.com. You know where it's at. My name is Verma Henry. I'm your host as usual. And I'm super excited for this one. It's a Thursday. I hope you're having a good Thursday with the internet world that we're living in. We've got... let me tone down the music a little bit more. So with the internet world that we're living in, we've got all these... I'm going to try and adjust my audio because I have a baby crying in the background. So maybe we'll have a smooth sailing if she allows. If not, well, you know how it goes. Working from home, hashtag 2021. Anyway, today's episode, we really want to take a deep dive into a continuation of our getting started in UX design career conversation. We have a playlist that is going on. We keep on adding to it every time we have these live design streaming sessions that we try to have every week, at least once a week. So not always on a Thursday, but usually on a Thursday. Sometimes we move the dates according to other things, not allowing us to do the live design streaming sessions on certain days. So there's so much happening that has been happening this past week. Before we jump into today's session, I just want to mention that I've been super excited, super pumped up about a lot of different things within the design world, with Apple big event happening, with Config, the big Figma design conference happening. We've seen really a good set amount of design tools, if I were to say so, entry-level design tools, things that will help people get into UX design. So things like the M1 Mac Mini accompanied with the educational free version of Figma, or just the free version that allows you to work on certain one projects, and the tool has just become more powerful even in the free state. Anyway, this video is not sponsored by Apple or Figma or anything like that, but I've just been super pumped up. So I want to do a full coverage of that sometime this weekend. So if you're interested in just geeking out with me over the weekend, I think it's going to be some Saturday on some time. We will put up the live event and the notifications on our social media channels. You know where to find us: LinkedIn, Twitter, sometimes on Instagram. I'm just still trying to get our Instagram game up and going. But anywho, let me not digress, right? So interesting things are happening for UX designers, and interesting products have come up over the past, during this week, and I'll be covering some of that stuff over the weekend. So if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification. That way you get notified when we go live, or when we put up an event, and you know that we're about to go live. So if that is something that is interesting you, and you want to geek out with me over the weekend, try it out, and we'll see each other over the weekend, as well as any other of the upcoming shows that will be happening, right? Another thing that I want to cover over the weekend is that we'll be launching our dobetterux.com new website with all the exciting upcoming events that we have lined up, right? There is so much stuff that we have been working on. I think if you follow our website or anything that we do online, you've seen that it might have been down for a couple of weeks now. We've been doing a major sort of like rethinking of what the platform is and what Do Better UX is really in the long run. We started the project to really be able to give people a real life experience, teachings of how we and when I say we, as other designers within the Do Better UX community that we're building, is that we really want to share the real life experiences that we have as UX designers to help other people who want to get into this space, by giving them the skills and the shortcuts really to help them get from 0 to 10, or to 50 or to 100, whatever the mark is, in no time at all, by giving them all the things that we've learned through all the mistakes that we've had in our careers as UX designers and other design thinkers. There's a lot of people who do design research and other things within this UX design realm, which is some of the things that we'll cover in the topic today around, is UX design a good career? So we're going to take a deep dive into three main things today. A couple of things that we've covered on the channel already. So why is UX design dying? Is it dying? What are companies looking for really in UX designers? And some of the things that you can do to future proof your UX design career in 2021 and going forth. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, again, join us this weekend. We'll be taking you through the website. We'll be talking through some of the exciting things that have come out this week, from a product side and, from a software side of things. Very interesting stuff. But anyway, welcome to the show. Again, if you're just joining us or you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Verma Henry. I am the co-founder of DoBetterUX.com. It's a platform, a community that I'm trying to build. Well, yeah, it has been, ongoing for some time now, for really like-minded designers, people who are working towards sharing and building better design processes and methodologies and things that really help get products in front of customers' hands pretty quickly. That is what I'm really passionate about at this point of time in my life. The actual products themselves that, we build on a day-to-day basis that actually change people's lives. So that is what Do Better UX is about. And if that sounds like a part of something that you want to be in, a community that you want to be in and you want to contribute towards, it doesn't matter if you're somebody who's not coming from a UX design background, right? Like UX design is, we'll cover some of that as well in the session today. UX design is a fully fledged discipline, and there's a lot of things that people from other places can contribute within the UX design realm of umbrella of things. So super interesting community that we are putting together, is small and intimate, and that is by design. We'll want to try and keep it interesting and engaging, and having everybody on board, sort of like trimming the buds when they are there, and there's other things that we don't really need to talk about, and some people who are being not so productive in the community. So we try to keep it short, really small and intimate. Ooh, I've been enjoying tea so much recently. Like a child, I've recently discovered that there's actually flavored tea. And pineapple is my favorite, but today I'm having berries for this one. Anyway, so let's jump into the show. So if you want to interact with us, we have a Discord server. So if you're a Discord type of guy, you can interact with us live there in our Discord server. There's other events that we do that might not be suitable for YouTube, because there might be sort of like interactive sessions that we'll do. But if you are interested in interacting with us on an ongoing basis, the link is in the description below to join us over on our Discord server. That way you can, interact with us, and even have Q&A sessions where you can where we can feature you on some of our live streaming events, actually ask the questions live, etc. So yeah, feel free to interact with us here on YouTube, over on Discord. If you're watching this after the fact, you can drop a question in the comment section. You can interact with us on our socials. All the links are in the description below. You'll be able to find us there, or all the relevant things that you need there. So enough blabbering, enough talking about other things. Let's jump into today's topic and talk about the main thing, which is UX design a good career? So this is a loaded question, right? And I picked it up because I've seen it on a lot of forums online, and a lot of sort of like Google trending keywords and questions being asked by a lot of UX designers around the world, not only within South Africa, which I think most of our viewers are from, but this is a global question that I felt like I would like to answer, because I have been a UX designer now for practically about 10 years. I've been basically in design all my life, for about 15 or 16 years of my life, but practically for what we call the terminology UX design have been really for about the past 10 years. That's where I realized that what I was doing was called user-centered design and UX design, etc., and all of those exciting things. So I'm going to give my perspective. Again, this is my opinion and my real life experience around UX design and what I think around it. Again, we're not trying to sell you anything. We're really trying to share our real life experiences with all of the people that we speak with, whether it's on our podcast, whether it's opinions that we give here on the live design streaming session or on our blog. It's really all from, it's not like some process that we pulled out of a book somewhere. It's really all about real life experiences. So I'm going to start off with covering the first thing, which is, why is UX design dying, right? So I think the terminology around UX design and the vanilla way that we have seen it evolving over the years, as in UX UI designers, is sort of dying, because I think most of the processes over the years have been really untruthful and being bullshit, honestly, if I were to put it in straightforward terms, because we have seen more and more designers selling fluff in the name of design thinking processes, and more designers have been moving away from the UX UI designer role, as we saw people coming out of the web design space to into the UX UI space, now calling themselves product designers from the UX UI designer role. And the product designer role really speaks to somebody who is well-rounded around building products and delivering products into customers' hands, and not really only on a design level, but in actually getting the product into customers' hands. So if it's a piece of an app, is actually real screens that end up being developed and having delivered on either the Android store or the Apple store, whatever it is. So that is the context of where sort of like the trajectory of where the UX designer role is going, and why people are calling themselves product designers, and what the difference really means in general. So you find a lot of people who are still good in user interface design, really good at putting screens together, have really good understanding of what good user experience looks like. Everybody knows what good user experience looks like. We've all had experiences with different apps and products that we've really like seen the possibilities of what's possible. So we know what's possible as consumers of digital products, and we're in a state right now where the people who are building the products, it's really about solving niche cases, understanding the user, putting the things together and making them really functional and look pleasant to use, has been sort of cracked, and there's a lot of templates and things that you can use out there. In fact, if you break out of the trend so much, it will start to look unfamiliar and the user experience might actually be hurt. So the design language has really been solved by the global languages of the mobile devices that we use. Mainly the Android and the iOS environments have got almost their own design languages. If there's a pop-up, how you navigate, certain things stay the same whether you're in different apps. It's really mostly platform centric, more than it is about the actual product that you're working with. So that part has been solved for, and that has been the biggest value that UX UI designers have been offering for the past 6, 8, 10, 15 years in the industry, as we have seen companies like Google and Apple and Android uniform their design language. Companies like Netflix sort of like come up with design systems. Companies like Spotify come up with design systems that really help them upgrade and manage their design language as they go and evolve along the years and improve. So the UX designer role for me is dying, in the sense that not that UX design skills are no longer needed, but most of the terrible things that are fluff, that a lot of people and a lot of agencies sell out there, are really dying off. So most of the processes that we see that don't really fit within the agile way of working and delivering software on a consistent basis in an iterative process, where you learn by having the actual product in customers' hands, other than just working from a prototype level. It has really penetrated the market, and more and more companies are asking for that, of which that is where more and more designers are playing the role of product designer, looking at the process from an end-to-end perspective, and not really just from a design perspective, but from actually delivering the end-to-end product and getting customer feedback, reporting on it, and advising on the iteration, and keeping on that loop working. For iteration can go forever, right? So that is my term of what I mean UX design is dying. If you want to learn more and hear more about that topic around what I mean by UX design is dying and where the world is going into product design, there's a video. I don't think it's linked in right now if you're watching us live and you want to jump into it, but definitely if you're watching this after the fact, we'll link in the video in the description below so that you can check it out. It's on our playlist. I think it's actually the previous video that we did last week, if I'm not mistaken. So cool. So that's the concept around where UX design is right now. And if you're trying to get into it as a career, and you're trying to think, is it a good career? I think maybe, the title UX designer might be wearing off. I think what you really need to think about is, how do you define UX design, and how do you articulate your problem solving skills to your potential clients and and hires as well, depending on whatever world you live in, whether you're in a freelance agency world, whether you're an employee, etc. So is UX design dying? The bad parts of UX design are dying, and that's a good thing, because we are morphing more into well-rounded product designers as a whole, right? So which sort of like gives us a good segue to the next thing, is that what are companies really looking for in designers as a whole? So when companies are hiring for UX designers, so if you had a conversation with me 2 years ago, I would always have this smile on my face, like, yeah, you know what, I actually check out LinkedIn job posts of UX designers and laugh at the different descriptions of, how everybody has their own definition of what UX design is. But over the years, I've started seeing patterns emerging, as I have seen people looking for very specific skills in product design that really add the most value, and that is really what has killed the traditional form and sense of what UX designers usually sell out there, right? So in that sense, we really start seeing people and companies looking for well-rounded people. And when I say well-rounded people, I mean people who can do UX design research, really going into the field and figure out specific things about the problem that they're trying to solve and how to solve that problem, come up with clever ways of how to bring people together and have the right conversations, run workshops online, and solve, for, physical and digital products. So we really see the more and more companies starting to request more well-rounded people, not just people who can move pixels, on a computer screen, but people who actually can solve problems, move pixels on a computer screen, have conversations with developers and other executive stakeholders, presenting back the information and giving back the feedback of what they found and the decisions that they're making, being able to drive decision making within the organizations that they're working in. That's my definition of what well-rounded designers really mean. So we're starting to see more and more of those well-rounded designers, as most of the fluff is taken away. I mean, back in the day, it was really hard to have a conversation. Actually, not back in the day, I'm talking about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. It was really hard to have a conversation without pulling out your teeth, just a basic conversation around UX design in agile working environments. How do you deliver at a specific pace? Like as UX designers, we want to validate everything and make sure that we've got the end-to-end thing done, and want to see the full picture. Other waterfall delivery teams believe the same things as well, but in the world that we're living in, where there's startups coming up every day, even big corporates don't have the luxury to move at slower paces, where we've seen them shipping features in 6, 10, 12 months, from the day that they conceptualize the thing. When we're talking with other startups that can raise funding, they can push way better products and a lot of iterations within a 12-month period, starting up with an MVP that really answers the core problem that the user has, and then adding on everything. I think perfection in a lot of big corporates really kills everything. They try to put in a lot of work into the thing, put in a lot of money. There's still this big notion around, the more you put in it, the better. Sometimes I've seen companies like Netflix have a whole design system team of just 4 people, right? So these 4 individuals are the whole design system team, and they really are able to manage the collaboration with other designers and other things. But really, if you think about 4 people looking after a whole design system for a product like Netflix, that is a huge responsibility for those 4 individuals. But they make it work. We've seen how Netflix is. It's a really good product, and we've seen the iterations of the designs over time. There's some things that I would improve differently, because I've worked on sort of like other VOD platforms, local VOD platforms, like they do, like streaming on demand platforms as they are, and there's other things that I would tweak in my own way, but that's a conversation for another time. So companies are looking for more product designer, well-rounded people, and really specialized type of people as well. So they are also looking for people who are really good at just, doing usability testing and, doing product testing, doing market research and things like that, who actually don't have any what would typically call design experience, right? But could really use design thinking methodologies to run workshops and have conversations with people on an executive level in different organizations and corporates, etc., etc. So that is where the world of UX designers is moving toward, and what we have seen UX designers morph into, and that's why we're starting to see more and more popularity of the term product designer than UX designer, even in the job profiles that we are seeing, even in the titles that we are seeing. And we've started seeing more and more precise UX design roles as UX design engineer if they're looking for somebody who can code, UX designer, UX researcher, a workshopping person. I don't know, some of the titles that they're coming up with these days are actually a bit hilarious if you were to think about it. Oh, there's tea. So does this answer the question, is UX design a good career? I think it depends on the definition again, right? What is your definition, and what is your definition, and what are the skills you're looking to get into, right? What are the skills you currently have, and how can you use those to your advantage to sort of look for one of the specializing roles, right? Or look at one of the broader product design roles. If you're somebody who's coming from a business analytics side, is my favorite example. Somebody who's coming from a project management side, there's a lot that you can play around within the UX design, product designer, product owner space, where you can really look after whole products and be able to deliver and coordinate conversations with teams across the delivery of that specific project to actually get into customers' hands at the end of the day. So it's always evolving, right? We've seen this in almost every career that is on the planet, right? We've seen innovation coming in, pushing the limits. A lot of things become gimmicky. Even if you think about the mobile phone space, we've seen a lot of cool things that come in, all sorts of popping out selfie cameras and things like that. But the things that really stick are the things that actually bring value and that are sustainable in the long run. And things that are sustainable in the long run are things that really bring value, usually at the cheapest cost and at the fastest time, right? And that you can keep on producing at the same quality and standard over and over years. So it's a similar thing that we've seen really within the UX design career space, where we've seen most of the methodologies. So if I'm somebody who's getting into UX design career right now, I think it's fundamental to learn about design thinking and all the processes and how to do things like personas and all of the other things, but one of the things that I've learned over the years and that I've been talking about on social media recently is that, we need to think about delivery and solving the problem over imposing problems on the imposing processes on the problems that are currently there, right? So I see this notion of designers living in this scripted book, like this is a 4-step process. We need to do the understanding, we need to do X and Y and Z, etc., etc. Not understanding that all these concepts are not linear, they're interchangeably put together. Like you're learning in the design thinking process, or your prototyping, or whatever it is. It's really different pockets of thinking and problem solving skills. Some of them are technical, some of them really focus on the user and getting insights from the user, some of them really focus on bringing people's information together and converging, and getting everybody to work together and collaboratively and moving fast to get to decisions. So we see all these morphed in design processes that are there, but most of them, I like to look at them as different moving parts that you can pick and choose depending on what the situation and the life cycle of the product that you're working on is, right? Like there's different life cycles of products, there's different things that might affect the specific project that you're on. Maybe the delivery is happening in a different country and the feedback is not the same. Maybe the timelines, the time zones are not the same, and you can't really do as live interaction as you might want to, as somebody who might be working within the time zone, even if you're working remotely, right? So there's all these things to consider when you're getting into the UX design career, is that you need to be mindful of what you do with the baseline knowledge that you have, right? So you go in there, you learn the baseline knowledge, all the cool design thinking processes, the workshopping things, how to do brainstorming and empathize and all of the cool stuff it is, like do heuristic evaluations and all of that cool stuff. That's a lot of cool stuff, but you need to then learn how to apply it. And I think that's where Do Better UX really comes in, because we try and share the knowledge around what to go out and look out for in this sea of information that is out there. There's like a sea of knowledge that is out there that sometimes it's overwhelming, right? Like, what do you search for online when you want to get into UX design? Like where do you go? Who do you trust? Right? You should trust us. Anyway, so companies are really looking for those well-rounded people, and you should be able to pick what are those things that companies are looking for. Learn those things, be really good at those things if they fit your profile and your character and where your career path is going, right? I think the world of UX is so diverse that we can always find a way to use the skills that we currently have, even if we're not coming from a design background. I will be talking about that in an upcoming event. So if you want to learn more about all the events that are coming up, check out our website this weekend. On Sunday it will be up. We will be doing a review on Saturday for it, but yeah, check it out this weekend so that you see the lineup of our events that are coming up there. But pick the things that really fit and resonate with you, not just to try and fit in within a certain bracket, right? I think if it's sort of like market value that you're after, I think you can always earn good money within the UX design, product design space, despite of what you do, right? As long as if you really get good at it. I think the point is not to like look for a part of, the UX design career that is, really shining, whether, you're a UX UI designer or you're just, a facilitator or a coach or something like that. But do things that really resonate with you. And when you do them really well, like there's really high paid people in every part of the job aspects in the world, not only in just UX design, right? Like there are people who are just really good at what they do and they get paid better for what they do because they're better than anybody else, right? So I think that's important to keep in mind when you're getting into UX design. If your question is UX design a good career and you're thinking about it from a monetary point of view, I think every career could be potentially a good career if it's in the technology realm, and other spaces as well, but especially the technology space and in the problem solving space. Everything outside of that I can't really speak to. I'm not an expert, but I think most of the things are of course, there's things like science and rocket science and all of that stuff. That's really important. But I find most day-to-day basic things being replaced by technology and, other ways of doing things in simpler forms of methods. So you could have a really good living and, earning in whatever career that you are in if you really just focus on being good at, the specific thing that you are being hired for. So if you're looking at it from a monetary perspective, that's my answer, and that's my perspective, just generally in life, not per UX design career per se. But if we're talking about other parts of UX design careers, about, how would you navigate? Is it a good thing to get into? It depends on what's your background, where you're coming from, right? And what can you bring to the party? Why are you getting into UX design? Are you really passionate about solving people's problems and building digital products that people use every day? Do you just like the feeling of knowing that the product that you worked on is being used by a billion people around the world, like Facebook or Instagram or Uber or whatever it is? All of these are interesting facts around why you're getting into UX design. If it's a good career, if you want to know it's going to be here for the next couple of years, I think there's a lot of ways that you can future-proof yourself to be in the design space for a long time, over the next coming space. I think the design space is here and here to stay. More and more companies are finding that design is, could be the biggest differentiator between the companies that really make it in the market and the companies that don't. So design is here to stay. Product design is here to stay in whatever formal way you want to put it in, whether you call it UX design, product design, UX UI design. Some of those things will die off with other technologies coming in. Some of the things will be more interesting to do, like things in the voice space, things in the virtual reality space, things in those other spaces that are really emerging technologies and are really gimmicks right now. As the gimmickiness dies off of those technologies and we really start using them in our day-to-day lives and the cost goes down, we start really seeing more and more people having voice devices in their homes, more and more people using virtual reality for actual things. I don't think virtual reality in the current state will be used for things like virtual meetings and things like that. But yeah, I think, as the technology improves, there'll be more use cases and there'll always be a need for designers to solve for those problems, to solve for those technologies, to find better ways that we can use those technologies to improve people's lives and improve the way that we live in this world, hopefully we will design for an improvement and change, right? So let's jump into the next section of the conversation. Or maybe before we do that, I can tell you a little bit of some of the other interesting stuff that we are trying to do on the internet. So we've had our podcast, Not a UX Designer. That's the name of the podcast. Tell us if you would like us to change it. But yeah, we've had our podcast for quite some time, and again, like revamping everything. Maybe that's the excuse we have of, not keeping on putting out episodes. But we felt like we're just covering topics with the topics that you were not really interested in, and we're looking for different ways that would revamp it. But check it out. We've got some really interesting conversations that are there. The podcast is called Not a UX Designer. It's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasting, and other main common places where you might listen your podcasts on. We'll reveal more about our website this weekend. But yeah, we've got a lot of exciting stuff that we've added to our website, that will really give you an upcoming, a clear timeline of all our upcoming events. It has been really a pain trying to manage those, as LinkedIn events, and we also feel that other people who are not necessarily in the LinkedIn community are missing out on, learning about those events. So we've tried to pull out most of the stuff that we have in LinkedIn and peel it out into more universal platforms as Discord or our own website. So on our website you'll be able to find all the upcoming events. So it's not only the live streaming sessions that we do. We've got a great meetup that we have been planning for some time now, and we'll be launching that soon. We've got, other sort of like walkthrough technical sessions that we will be doing, and not necessarily want to make those, content for YouTube, but rather really interactive sessions as a community, as people, without, the whole recording shebang and having it as content. We want to make good content like this, where we talk about specific topics and answer specific questions like, is UX design a good career? Is UX design dying? All of the big hot questions on the internet, this is the stuff that we want to cover on this channel. Let us know if there's any other questions that you are interested in us covering. So if you're watching this at any given time, please let us know if there's any other specific topics that you would like us to cover on the channel. Drop us something in the chat. If you're watching us live right now, drop us something in the comment section below, and we will see what we can do by putting that in our upcoming events calendar. We usually have our events planned up for the whole month, so if you suggest something, it'll probably come up in the next month or so. So moving on to the next and the final part of the conversation today is about how do you future-proof your UX design career. So I think this part is about people who might be in UX design, who might be UX designers already. Maybe you're a UX UI designer, and you have been specializing or generalizing in a specific environment of UX design, or you might be somebody who's getting into UX design, right? And you want to try and figure out, okay, cool, if I were to do this, how am I going to sustain myself over the next years? What do I need to learn? What do I need to focus on, etc., etc. And I think from my experience and some of the things that I am doing is that I think as UX designers, we've got a very diverse skill, and there's a lot of things that we can focus on and be able to build and create and collaborate with other people within this digital realm called the internet that we live in, right? And I think with the way that the world is going, whether you are not really entrepreneurship minded, right, there's still great opportunity for you to be able to collaborate with other people and work on great projects, even if you are going under their wing and really bringing in your UX design knowledge, and you're collaborating with other developers, and there might be another person who's looking after the business side of things, etc., etc. But I think there is great value in being a super well-rounded people, staying on top of trends and being able to learn things on the fly. So I watch tons and tons of YouTube on latest technology trends and design tools and things like that, and what other designers around the world are doing them. I read tons of articles around the same things as well, and in a pursuit of just to try and figure out how people using these tools to solve problems in different parts of the world. What problems are they solving? Are there other problems similar to the ones in my environment as well that I can solve in a similar way or even better, or evolve, to be able to fit my environment? So there's all these different perspective of things that you can learn. So recently I've been really interested in voice, in and artificial intelligence, and how we can actually build better tools that help us as designers really focus on the problem solving parts, and just detect to the tools and they'll do the design job, right? Unless if you're somebody who finds therapy in diving in the box, getting into the pixels and moving things around and really creating things, and that's a whole different set of person. But if you're living in a world where you really want to stay innovative, you want to stay on top of the game of what you're doing, you want to stay on top of the game within this UX design career, here are some things that I think are practical that you might want to look in. So number one is a very easy thing, but is one of the biggest undervalued thing that I've seen over the years degrading almost all of the time, is things like just pure communication, that is both in writing and in speaking. It's super important that you're able to not only create designs that look and feel well, but also read well, right? Even the conversations that you're having with people within the organization, the stakeholders, the executive people around your group, other designers, developers, how you articulate your solutions, how you articulate the problems that you might be having, or how you articulate different things that you want to point out to them is really important, to really keep you at the highest caliber of the discipline that you're doing. But not only that, but to really make you stand out as a well-polished person within any career, really. This is something that is undervalued in different career disciplines, and it's no different within the UX design career space. I have seen this over myself, over the past year, just by focusing on, the discipline on keeping things, intact, and keeping tabs on things, being responsive, communicating well, being mindful about, the decisions that we make within a conversation, whether it's in a project context, always trying to help the solution, the situation, instead of, sort of like echoing the problem, being helpful. That's the first thing. It might sound like, that doesn't really have anything to do with UX design. It doesn't, but I think it will help you stand out in any career, and UX design is no exception, right? Other things segueing from that is really UX writing, or just writing properly. A lot of people call it UX writing. I just call it writing, right? Like, if you can write well and communicate well, right, whether from speaking and writing, I have a lot to learn from both levels of communication, right? So I'm also on this learning path with you. If you are, using specific techniques to help you speak better, to help you write better, please let me know in the comment section. Hit me up in my personal DM. You can look up Varima Henry, and yeah, maybe share some tips with me. So there's this thing that people call UX writing, and the people who are actually hired just to write. But I think this is a typical thing that we'll see more and more people being required to do, and that will really help you future proof yourself and stand out from the rest of the designers as well. So yeah, straightforward. Learn how to write and communicate well. Don't just put random squiggly stuff in your designs without real text, and put all that placeholder text, but actually write something that adds a lot of value from companies who are looking for designers that bring a solution that is more well-rounded and more versatile. So the other thing that I would say that is practical to do right now in 2021 and in the future is always stay on top of what are the use cases of the latest technologies that are coming out, and how can you improve your workflow and the things that you ultimately design going forth, right? So how can we use the artificial intelligence plugins in Figma like Designer to be able to improve your workflow? How can you tap into the world of voice and be some of the few people, well, when I say few, I mean a couple of million people, whereas unlike the billion UX UI designers that are out in the world, but really finding a niche within the virtual reality space, the voice space, and other spaces as well, like very quick iterative delivery, and how do you run the sprints and things like that. By specializing in a niche, you'll be able to stay in a place that has not been diluted so much, and you'll be able to squeeze in a lot of value out of that specific place over the next years to come, as those technologies become more mainstream and become more of what people see on a day-to-day basis, and as you apply more and more day-to-day realistic solutions to that, right? So having said that, there's a lot of other things that I would advise, that I would say you can do as practical things, but those are the main things that I really wanted to point out for that section, and answering how would you future-proof your UX design career and make sure that you'll be going on, if you're somebody who's just getting started and you want to do this for the next 25 years of your life, just make sure that you are doing things that really help you stand out. So the three things that we spoke about now, just to recap, really communicate well, learn how to communicate well in writing and speaking, write well, which is what people call UX writing. It's a very big thing. I think it's a solid skill that will be here for a very long time. And the third thing is that really find that niche specific space that you can focus on and bring a lot of value in there by learning a lot of things around that specific technology, whether it's voice, virtual reality, or whatever niche space you want to work in, and really bring a lot of value in that space. That way, you serve a pool that has not been diluted as much as generalizing as a UX UI designer. So is UX design a good career? Hell yeah, I think it is. I think depending on how you define it, understanding that a lot of the fluff will die off and is dying off, right? Um, it's super critical for you to learn how to navigate it rather to look at it as a dying or surviving field, right? I think there's a lot of potential. I think design is still and will still be the biggest differentiator of companies that make it and ones that don't. Just think about all the big companies: Apple, Google, Airbnb, Uber, Taxify, whatever it is that you use on a day-to-day basis. It's based on good design principles and not just the aesthetic that you see at the end of the day. Anyway, that's it from this one. My name is Rima Henry, and if you enjoyed the content here and you'd like to learn more about this, we'll be doing a special one this weekend. We'll be covering all the exciting things that happened this week, as well as giving you a sneak peek, maybe just reviewing our new website and all the lineup of all the upcoming events that we have for the next month and a bit. Consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell so that when we put up an event, you can be notified and you know that we're ready to go live. Yeah, we'll see you again on the weekend. I'm out.